me know in the chat. All right, so Nikhil, good morning. Yeah, glorious coffee. Yes, I have my coffee here. And yes, it is starting vibrant and strong, except I just realized, I was like going and grabbing my glasses. I realized I left my glasses at the gym. So I have to go back to the gym after this and get my glasses if they're still there. But I don't think anybody would steal my glasses. I know I have my backup pair here, but whatever. That's how it goes sometimes. So today, what we're going to talk about is a little bit of a few of the mental mistakes that we make. Psychological mind traps. I actually have a whole video that I published on this Monday, right? This week, and you can go check it out on my channel. And this will actually take you through a few examples, but we'll actually role play some of this in your own life if you would like, because that's really the most effective, to see how these play out in your own life, and these mental mistakes that we make, these cognitive biases that we have, and we want to see how they're affecting our decisions, because more often than not, we're just not aware of the biases that we have, or the bad kind of decision making, or the mental traps that we fall into. And being aware of them can make us make better decisions. So speaking of which, let me just get a sip of coffee here. I mean, I just got to my desk here. I just literally showered and came back from the gym. And then, as I said, I have to go back and get my glasses. But the first one I want to talk about is one that I believe a lot of us fall into just way too much. Way too much. We fall into this fallacy of, it's called the fundamental attribution error. And so I use the example in my video of, let's say somebody cuts you off in traffic, right? Let's say somebody cuts you off in traffic, and then what do you usually assume about that person? You usually assume, wow, that person is an asshole. Like, why is it that person's a jerk? Why are they cutting me off in traffic, right? And so you attribute, we tend to attribute bad intentions or bad qualities about a person based on their behavior. And we attribute, here's the thing, here's the fundamental attribution error. We're attributing something internal to them, to their behavior, right? Their motivation, who they are as a person. We're judging them in that way. But the thing is, think about yourself in that situation. Think about your own self in that situation. Is there a circumstance, let's say, in which you might cut somebody off in traffic? You might do something rude. You might not smile to somebody. Right? Of course. I mean, we do things like this a lot. I mean, not all the time, right? We should try to be courteous and all that stuff, but we make these mistakes a lot of the time. And or we engage in certain behaviors a lot of the time. So let's say we cut somebody off in traffic. Well, you might be late for work. You might say, well, I'm late for work, right? I feel bad about that person that I cut off, but I'm so late for work, or I need to, or you might be rushing to get to the hospital, right? That's very justifiable. It's very justifiable to cut somebody off in traffic if you're rushing to go to the hospital in that case, for instance. So think about it. You attribute the external circumstance. You don't attribute some characteristic. You don't judge yourself as, oh, I'm a bad person if I cut this person off in traffic. Right? So understand how we judge other people, and we attribute certain qualities to other people based on their behavior unfairly, because if we had done the same thing in that same situation, the very same thing, in this case, cutting somebody off in traffic, then, we would judge we judge them the same way. Yeah, Johnny, I do offer a mentorship or coaching program. Actually, I offer something I offer two options. One that's really affordable if you want to get your feet wet and just try out my mentorship and see how it is. I have a course called the Dream Life System. You can actually check that out in You can check that out in the link that I posted in the about section about me. So you'll see that in my about section, or you could just go into any video underneath my in the description section. Pretty much any video nowadays, and you could see the links to. I haven't included the Dream Life system and everything, but you could see the links to the Life Navigator system as well. If you want to check that out, you can see what that's all about. But yes, I do. If you want more personalized interaction with me, definitely I do offer that. So, but yeah, Johnny, first I'm seeing you on the live stream here, I think. So welcome, by the way, and I'd love to see you here more on the live stream. And thanks for being a subscriber. Thanks for being here with me. So, and thanks for being a part of our community. We love to hang out with everybody here and get everybody's perspectives. So, and feel free to ask a question in this live stream, guys. If you have some things you want to share or questions you want to ask about mental traps we fall in. So, for those of us who are just joining us, mental traps. Hey, nice question. Not gonna answer on this chat, right? So anyway, what was I gonna say? So that question really legitimately distracted me, PK Star. So that was unexpected. So in terms of here's another example of the fundamental attribution error, and this happens all the time. This happens to us all the time. So, for instance, how many times you walk by somebody and you see they don't have, a smile on their face, or they kind of they look at you not too friendly of a way, and and that's a good example. Oh, Johnny, that's a great question. I'll get to that. I'll definitely get to that. But yeah, like we assume that people are unfriendly, right? If they don't smile back, or they don't smile in the first place, or they don't look, happy or engaged when we walk past them. Well, have you ever thought that maybe you don't look happy and engaged and smiling and it goes both ways. So that's a good example of the fundamental attribution error. But Johnny, you said I have a mental trap about annual goals and the best way to track them. Actually, you're asking this question. You're asking this question at a really good time, at a really, really good time of the year, right? Because we're ending the year and we're getting up to a new year. So actually, we all should be planning out our goals. All right. So actually, can you give me an example of a goal you have, or something that you want to achieve? Because giving me that first will actually help us break this down, right? It'll help us break down what the solution will be. Depending on the goal, depending on the field that you're pursuing, depending on what you're focused on, that's going to change a little bit of maybe what the steps will be, or what the overall approach will be. So feel free to let me know about that. Or if you are totally lost and you don't have a specific goal, right? But let me speak to this more generally while you're coming up with something here. Let me speak to this more generally here. I've had what, 10 years. I had 10 years. I'm not in this business anymore, but I had 10 years of sales training and team building experience, along with business experience running a test prep agency in New York City. And I have so much experience in terms of failing at setting goals. I think the biggest things that held me back in the beginning of my business building process, this is way back, this is in 2013. One of the things that held me back the most, I will say, is that fear of failure, right? At first, right? Okay, I don't want to set a big goal because I think I'm going to fail. Or fear of judgment. I don't think I'm going to be judged in the right way. I think people are going to judge me wrongly. Well, here's the thing. Here's a mental trap that I haven't mentioned in that video that actually it was responsible for this, and it's called the spotlight effect. So the spotlight effect means it speaks to the idea that we think people are going to judge us, right? We think we're walking around and people are judging us and paying attention to us when really they're not most of the time. We all have that spotlight effect. We think people are judging us, and it's not. It's not really the case most of the time. So, Johnny, you say paying off a certain amount of debt, improving my lab results. Oh, these are great goals, and improving my social life by traveling. Um, so, paying off a certain amount of debt. Yeah. So, okay, this. There are many ways of. There are a couple of ways of approaching this. Let's talk about each one by one. I'm actually going to write these down so I don't forget. So you talk about debt. You talk about health goals, right? Specific health goals like lab results. Okay, so let's talk about that. And then you talk about improving social life. Okay, so as you know, obviously, let's say if we were to work together one on one, we would kind of break these down even more specifically and get into the nitty gritty of each of these. But these are great. These are great starting points. So in terms of paying off debt, let's start there. There are really only a couple ways to approach paying off debt. You know, we can find some way to save more money and redirect it toward this is just like the financial advice you hear everywhere, right? Pay off the highest interest debt first, and focus on that, paying more than, saving up enough or cutting back in our budget enough to pay the highest interest debt first, or pay off more than more than the minimum payment, for instance. Easier said than done. We would want a couple of strategies there. Art of Win, you said good morning. So I have a very important exam in January for college entrance, so I'm going to get back to you in a second, John. Let me just read this. Very stressed sometimes. I kill my time just thinking about the outcome. Because of that, efficiency goes down. Sounds like you are procrastinating. Art of Win. So, Art of Win. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to address your question after I cover Johnny's question. So, it sounds like procrastination for exams. All right. So, I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And I do have a lot of experience with this because, again, I ran a test prep agency. So I have experience with this with students as well. All right, debt. So, or you can make more money, Johnny. You can make more money. The trap that you can fall into here, okay, that I have fallen into a lot. I fell into this a lot. Is you want to. So when you're in a debt situation and you want to pay off debt, there are a lot of ways to make extra money. There are tons of ways to make extra money. Endless. There are many opportunities, right? So you want to decide. War of Art. Yes, Taco Bandit. I agree. War of Art. That book is amazing. It is, and I don't say too frequently that like certain books are amazing. That book is amazing. Anyway, so debt. In terms of making more money, here's something you want to figure out. You want to figure out, am I going to? So I'm going to follow a path to make more money, some side gig or some side hustle or whatever. All right, what am I going to pursue and how long? You want to define the parameter of time. You don't want to just say, I'm going to do it, I'm just going to start it. You want to define the parameter of time because, let's face it, most side hustles suck, especially if it's just for the purpose of paying debt. You might just make a goal for yourself. Okay, I'm going to do, I don't know, let's just name something. I'm going to do Uber for 6 months. And I'm just going to do it for 6 months. And I'm going to, or I'm going to find some part-time job and I'm going to do that for 6 months. 6 months only. And I'm going to accumulate this amount of money and I'm going to pay down that debt in that period of time. You want to define that outcome. Otherwise, you want to define that time frame. Otherwise, doing something for money, just for money in a long term, even if it's just a side hustle, side gig, and it is for a good cause to pay off debt, you're gonna end up really burnt out. I promise you, you're gonna end up really burnt out. If you define the end time, you have that always to look forward to, and you're less likely to get burnt out because you're counting down the days. Okay, I only have to do this for this much more time, or whatever. If it is, you also could use debt. These are big topics, so it takes some time to get through these. You could also use debt as a kind of an opportunity to create a new beginning for yourself. Well, so for instance, back when I started my first business in 2013, that was mostly to pay off a student loan. I had not a student loan, several student loans and credit cards. I had a six-figure debt, so I have experience with this as well. I had a six-figure debt, very, very large debt, accumulated. Now I'm debt free, right? And it feels great. But the thing is that I use that as an opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to focus on the money making. I'm in the money making era, I guess, of my life. And I'm going to start a business. And that pushed me to start a business. And I actually continued that business for the next 10 years, as I said. And, for the first few years, I was really passionate about it. And that's great. It may really ignite in you a passion, a reason to start some sort of, not just a side hustle, but some sort of business that you become very, very passionate about it. Nope, no, I did not. Thankfully, I have better money management skills at this point. And then health. Let's talk about health. I hope that helps because, obviously Johnny, your focus on debt, your focus on debt actually, it's a big topic, so we would have to have maybe more of a specific conversation. Feel free to email me. My email is in the link in the about section. Yeah, health. Let's talk about health. Okay, you mentioned health. And then I'll actually zip over to Art of Win's question about procrastination, and then I'll come back to your question about social life. So, and guys, all of you, feel free to actually ask more questions. And yes, Smoke and Reload, I am American. Yes, I am American. I live in the U.S. So I live in New York City, actually. Out of the Brain, you said, I want to read a book on brain functionings and improving it. It can be big and complex. Doesn't matter. I can read it. Can you suggest me any book? Okay, if you really want a big and complex book, I'll challenge you. Read Neural Networks. It's not about the brain. It's about neural networks, but it's very similar. It has a lot to do with how our brain functions. Very similar. So neural networks. What is it? Neural networks in Python, something like that. I have to get the exact title, but it's Neural Networks with Python is the book. I forget the author. I will get the author. Feel free to email me if you really want the book title, the full book title. Another one. You know what? Let me. So neuroeconomics. Look up this book, Neuroeconomics. It's actually a textbook. This is a great one, right? Functionings and improving it. Oh, functionings and improving it. Okay, Out of the Brain. You want to then read Buddha's Brain. Great book on brain function and improving it. Very good book. Buddha's Brain. I forget the authors off the top of my mind. But if you really want to improve your mind, improve your brain functioning, that book is amazing. Read 1984. Yes, it's a classic. Smoke and Reload. It is a classic. I'm gonna get back to your question in a moment, Johnny. All right, health, lab results, goals. Okay, I was there. Yeah, Taco Bandit. You were in New York City last week. You were in New York City, or you were just in the United States last week? I'm going to Europe next week, actually. So, Mark says, welcome, Mark, and welcome everybody. Taco Bandit, Smoke and Reload. I didn't formally welcome all of you. I like the book you recommend, which is Critical Thinking, Logic, and Problem Solving. Okay, good. Yeah, it's easy to digest. Is there any book about analytical thinking you can recommend? Man, can you be more specific? Because analytical thinking is a very broad. Are you trying to get better at? Are you trying to get better at, reasoning skills, like spotting? Bad reasoning, like, is that what you're looking for? Are you looking for something more philosophical? Are you looking for something about how the brain works? Like, what's book are you looking for? And Smoke and Reload. Okay, you're from Europe. Which country are you going to? I'm going to A couple of them. I'm going to England, France, Spain. Where else? England, France, Spain, Italy. England, France, Spain, and Italy. Where are you from? Taco Bennett. Oh yeah. Okay, you're in New Jersey. Okay, welcome. All right, fellow New Jersey. You call yourselves New Jerseyites? What is it? New Jerseyans? I can't even. I don't even know. Uh, so Mark, more on numbers. Mark, what was your original question? Oh, more on numbers. Okay. More on numbers. Oh. Yeah, actually. All right. So, if you want something that's more on numbers, let me if you want a classic that's more on numbers, um, let me see. There's one that's actually really good. Um, yeah, there's one that's called Gödel's Proof. Gödel's Proof, and the who's the author again? I'm looking at the author. Ernest Nagel. Ernest Nagel. All right, Gödel's Proof, Ernest Nagel. Gödel, the famous mathematician, Gödel, right? Famously tried to prove 1 plus 1 equals 2. Actually, famously very hard to prove 1 plus 1 equals 2. Um, uh, oh man, too many questions, too many questions. Let me get back to Johnny. So Johnny, what do you recommend using to track your goals and associated milestones? Okay, Johnny, I'm going to recommend, Johnny, have you ever read the 12-week year? I really recommend that. If you have not read that, the 12-week year is an amazing book for tracking. The author actually has a whole breakdown of how to track your goals and all the milestones. You know, when you track goals, you have what are called leading indicators and lagging indicators. What are leading indicators? What are the inputs that are going to get me that I need to track, right? There are certain inputs you need to track in order to know if you're on the right track, if you're doing things that are actually effective rather than busy work. And we have lagging factors. Okay. Oh, you've read it but couldn't find a good workbook to use. I actually do have, man, is it attached? Is it attached to one of my, you know what, here's what you want to do. You don't actually need some big fancy rubric, okay, Johnny? You don't actually need something fancy. Here's what I want to break down. Yeah, Sri Vishnu, welcome. Feel free to turn your idea here into an actual specific question. I'm happy to help. Okay, out of the brain. Well, out of the brain, Buddha's brain. Trust me, Buddha's brain. If you're looking for real science-based, very technical tips with lots of citations and actual research citations, and you could go back and look at the study and it's very analytical, yes, Buddha's brain. It is a great book for that, out of the brain. Okay, Johnny. Let me get so Johnny and everybody. So if you want to achieve any goal, right? There are leading indicators and lagging indicators. Leading indicators are the inputs. Let's use an example, paying off debt. So the leading indicator would be, let's say a leading indicator would be, okay, that you can measure. How much per week am I putting away? How much per week am I saving toward the debt, right? Or it could even be one step removed, would be maybe a leading indicator. So what am I doing? What is the activity, the input that I'm doing, the activity every week to, make that extra $200 or $100 or whatever that amount is to put toward the debt? What is the activity? What's the input that I'm doing? Okay, I want to measure that. I want to make a spreadsheet. Make it really simple. Simple systems work the best. Complicated graphs and everything. The only downside I think about the 12-week year is the only thing about the 12-week year that I find difficult is the fact that it's very complicated in terms of the system he creates. I think it's doable if you're in a corporate setting, but not always. So so the input would be the activity you're going to engage in to make that extra $200 a week. How much time are you going to spend on it? When are you going to do it? When is it in your calendar? That's the leading indicator. The lagging indicator, let's say, what would be a lagging indicator? It's how do we measure if we're getting the results we want? So defining the result, what is the defining a result? So let's say the defined result would be every month, let's say, I have shaved off X amount of dollars from my debt, right? From the, let's say, the principal of the debt. All right. So again, those are very easily measurable things. They're very easily measurable things. So you want to put leading indicator, right? Actually, literally make 2 columns in your spreadsheet. Leading indicator, lagging indicator, and list out all the leading indicators. What are the It's just like in math. In basic math, you have functions, right? Functions basically measure an input and an output. You want to define your inputs, you want to define your outputs, and that works beautifully all the time if we define those very simply. Over time, the only way that this can fail, Johnny, is the simple system. The only way that it can fail is if we don't consider all the factors, all the leading indicators, right? And so over time, we will fail. We will have to adjust. It's just like when I started working out is a great example. I didn't know what I was doing and I did lots of stuff wrong, but over time I adjust. Over time, you may have an original goal that was, okay, I have a 3-month goal. I want to pay this off in 3 months. It may end up being 6 months because you didn't anticipate what you would need to adjust, or what you didn't account for in your leading indicators and lagging indicators during that time. So what you want to do is you want to define all the leading indicators and all the lagging indicators that you know of, and then over time you want to keep certain columns or certain columns open for leading indicators or lagging indicators that you discover along the process, and fill those in as you find them. I hope that is helpful for understanding what is meant here. Let's actually quickly go over to procrastination for exams. So Art of Win, you talked about procrastination for exams and procrastination in general. And Sri Vishnu, book for getting over unwanted behaviors. So let me, hold on. Let me get back to you. So there are so many questions here. So, and Shofi, welcome. Shofi, welcome. Hey, Smoke and Reload, thank you for the 249 pounds. I really appreciate it. You are awesome. I guess you're in England, right? Or I don't want to assume where you are, but thanks so much. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm here to help. Yeah, absolutely. And Zest, bro, what do you do? What do I do? I'm a YouTuber, basically. Yeah, full time now. I'm actually a full-time YouTuber now. That's true. Although I do some one-to-one coaching on the side as well. So yeah. Oh yeah. No, I didn't look closely at it. I did not look closely at it. It is euros, not pounds. Wow. Hey, you know what? The one and only Nicole. I'm also a human being, all right? So I'm actually, in case you don't know, I'm not a god. I am not a god. I am actually a human being. So I make mistakes. Can you believe that? I make mistakes? Wow, I make mistakes. Okay. So, yeah, oh, okay. Very, very, very funny, right? Zest, what type of content? Zest, feel free to go and look at my channel. What type of content? Content on critical thinking, using critical thinking to improve your life. Are we free to work, to live, not to live to work? Okay, guys, there are so many questions on this chat right now. If I don't answer your question or if I don't get to your question, feel free to reach out to me by email. All right? Feel free to reach out to me by email. I'm happy to engage with you. Like, yes, I have courses. I have courses. I have a course. I have a monthly membership program for mentorship. Yes, that's all that. But if you just want to talk to me, like, I will talk to you for free, right? I have no I don't care. Like, just reach out to me. I'm happy to help you, right? Of course, if you want more of an immersive one-to-one experience, then yeah, sign up for my stuff, right? But I'm always open to have a conversation. Um, you have a video about weekly planning? No, no, I don't have a video about weekly planning, but it would actually be a good idea to make a video on that. Let me get over to Art of Win's question, right? So, nursing officer, welcome. Hey, hello, welcome. All right. So, the one and only Nicole, would it matter if I did? Would you hate me if I did? I respect you either way, whoever you voted for, because guess what? I think things are more. There are more important things in life than who you voted for, right? Um, why can't we treat each other as human beings and have civil conversations, right? It's okay. We don't have to. I believe in that. That's what I think critical thinking is about: having civil conversations and actually respecting each other, and disagreeing. Hey, we should disagree, right? On that question, we should disagree with each other, and we could do it respectfully, and we could still like each other. Can you believe that? Wow, I would love to get back to a time like that. Do you speak Hindi? I do not speak Hindi. I'm sorry. Dumutu Yapa, do you believe there is no such thing as a first world country? If I don't think those terms are great terms to describe a country. First world, third world, they're kind of outdated. But anyway, let me get to procrastination for exams. So Art of Win. Sorry, I've been saying this forever. Art of Win. So procrastination. You most likely, I'm going to be very straight up with you. You most likely, oh, I look like Timu Quentin Tarantino. All right. I don't know who I look like. I kind of look odd, right? A little bit odd, right? That's okay. We can all look a little bit odd. But in the right light, I look kind of good, right? Sometimes. Art of Win. So procrastination, you probably don't like what you're doing, right? You probably don't like the topic. You're probably a little bit burned out. You probably are feeling like, you just want it to be over, right? So in your situation, it's always tough in a school situation because like a lot of times when you're in a school situation, you have to do stuff you don't want to do, right? Yeah, you have to do stuff you don't want to do. You can't just choose to do something else. So in this case, what I would do is I would make a compromise with yourself. So if you're procrastinating, let's say by playing video games, I don't know what you're doing to procrastinate, but let's say you're procrastinating to like by playing video games or whatever it is. Don't shame yourself. One of the things that's actually holding you back and creating this vicious cycle, most likely, of continuing to procrastinate is that you aren't indulging, you're not like giving yourself permission to indulge a little bit. So go play the video game, but tell yourself, hey, I'm going to play the video game. I'm going to indulge. It's okay. But I'm going to do 15 minutes or I'm going to do it for 30 minutes and define that time, set an alarm and say, be done with it at 30 minutes, at 15 minutes, at 30 minutes, whatever, and then be done with it, right? And then move on to what you need to do. So that actually psychologically can set you up for success. Just try that. Right? You can procrastinate, but procrastinate for a specific amount of time and then get back to it, right? So, all right, well, so then Art of Win, look at other things that you're procrastinating on. Because when we're procrastinating, what? We're doing other things. We're scrolling, maybe, all right? So, but give yourself permission to do that for maybe 15 minutes. So, Smoke and Reload, when liberals was a big thing, they weren't the mainstream. Now everything flipped and the conservatives are not the mainstream anymore. I think we all search for the same thing in the end. Smoke and Reload, you actually say, so there's an interesting thing about human nature here. Muhammad, hey, welcome. Nursing officer, thank you so much. I think you said you're my biggest fan. I appreciate it. Art of Win, music. Okay, yeah, music. You could say, cut it off at a certain period of time. Smoke and Reload for your political comment. Here's the thing. If you look at history. Things switch all the time. It's a pendulum. It's almost a never-ending pendulum. Go back to France in the in the 19th century. What was it? First it was 1789, French Revolution, First French Revolution, followed by what? Napoleon, right? So the pendulum swung the other way toward Napoleon, right? Then you had these arch conservatives, right? The ultras with Louis XVIII, right? Trying to influence him. He tried to make a stable, balanced government. Then it swung the other way with Charles X, who was an ultra conservative, right? Then we swung back to not even back. We swung into what? Louis Philippe, right? Later, who's the bourgeois, right? July King or July Revolution. I forget the term, but the pendulum always swings back and forth. I think we have to expect that. I think we actually, have to be okay with things will change. We have to be the best that we can be to be virtuous, regardless. So Zest, my thought: life is binary. If you want super success, you got to put your distractions to net zero, not any continuous value in between 0 and 1. Yeah, Zest, I see what you're saying, but I would argue that attention is not a binary thing either. It's not a binary thing either. I mean, if you look at the brain, attention is not 0 or 1 inputs. It's not 0 or 1 kind of. I mean, yes, you cannot. It is true. You cannot truly multitask, and have full attention on one thing. However, what I'm saying is that sometimes, Zest, you're stuck in situations where you're stuck in certain situations. We have to be realistic. Sometimes people are stuck in certain situations, right? And yes, the easiest thing to tell somebody who's procrastinating is do something you actually want to do, right? But it's too simplistic sometimes, right? That's too simplistic. We can't always do something that we just want to do. So if we're stuck, right, we have to, actually try some hacks that can get us part of the way there until we can do something we want to do, right? Just reading the comments here. Can music be a reason for procrastination? Yes, it can be. Smoke and reload. I didn't know it was that clear. Yeah, it is. Well, smoke and reload, actually, there are some fundamentals that have been changing in society in terms of technology, in terms of communication, in terms of the way we consume media. I'm not so sure, thinking that in terms of just even civilized human society has only been around for what? Like about 10,000 years? So, give or take. So if we assume that's a very short time, there's a lot of time for things to change in one way or another. So, out of the brain, Behave. Yeah, Behave is a good book. Behave talks about 3 fundamentals of human motivation. So you know what? I'm not going to answer that question for now out of the brain, just because I'm going to talk a little bit more at length about this book in another video. But Pratyush, welcome. You are, well, I'm almost at the tail end here, but you can get back in touch with me anytime and watch some of my other videos. Okay, Srivishnu, book for overcoming unwanted behaviors. Once again, Buddha's Brain is a really good one for that. Buddha's Brain, overcoming unwanted behaviors. They have a whole bunch of brain-based techniques. They are 2 neuroscientists that actually wrote this book. Art of Win, you said, as you mentioned, that one of the reasons for your procrastination can be that I'm not interested in the topic. So, sir, is there any way to make my interest grow for that exam? Yes, you can find things that let's say if you're not interested in history or you're not interested in physics. Let's just say you're not interested in physics. Can you find some video on YouTube that will pique your interest about physics, right? You might think you're not interested in physics because of the teacher or calculus. Calculus. All right, so I'm going to give you a good way to get interested in calculus. And Leo, welcome. I'm going to actually give you, I'm going to answer your question as well. Calculus, okay. Calculus is actually, I'm going to tell you something. Calculus is actually extremely interesting. If you know what a partial derivative is, differential calculus, right? The one reason any of us should learn calculus is eventually for differential equations. What's differential equations? Well, differential equations tells you something fascinating. How how one variable in a function that contains a lot of variables changes over time. And why is this important? You look at society. If you're interested in society, if you're interested in understanding how society works, right? Whether that's politics, economics, other social sciences, anthropology, right? Well, those are situations that aren't just simple cause and effect. So many things affect the economy. So many things affect political outcomes. So many things affect social outcomes. If we want to understand those things, they contain several variables, those situations. So what differential calculus is really great at is it's great at isolating one of those variables and seeing how those variables, the degree to which any of those variables has an impact on the outcome. And it measures how much impact a particular variable has on any of those outcomes. So so for instance, if you find those topics interesting, think, okay, this is my pathway to get better at understanding those things, right? Yes, exactly, and keeping others constant. Exactly, right? Yeah, partial derivative. Yeah, exactly. So it's your gateway. You have to think of the thing that you don't like to do as your gateway to understanding or being able to approach or do the thing that you actually do like to do. That's one way of doing it. How to quickly overcome burnout? Not quickly. I'm sorry, but there's no way to quickly do it, Leo. So first, man, I don't have time because I have to get off this live soon. But email me with your question. I'm happy to. I have to end this live soon, but email me with your question. I'm sorry I couldn't get to all of your questions, but email me your questions. I'm not a math professor, but I do have a background in decision theory. So I have an actual academic background in decision theory, so that required me to learn a lot of statistics. Statistics involves, advanced statistics involves calculus and partial derivations and stuff like that. So yes, if you guys would like a deeper dive with me one-on-one to help you level up in your in any aspect of your life, right? Take a look at my Dream Life System. Check it out in my link in my About section on YouTube, or you can join my Life Navigator program, and that link is also in the About section in my profile on YouTube, or you can check it out in any of the descriptions of any video on my channel. So, guys, wow, I'm sorry, Leo, but reach out to me by email. So, yes. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining me. I love being with you guys. Thanks again for the euros somebody sent me here. So I appreciate your time. Reach out to me anytime. I am here for you. All right. Take care, guys, and have a great rest of your day.